everyone. Welcome to The Honorees, a show dedicated to follow up with the recipients of the MDC's Endowed Teaching Chairs program that selects distinguished professors every year who continue to demonstrate excellence in teaching, effective communications with students, and professional growth. I'm your host, Jez Katambe. Our guest today is Professor Juan Morata, Philip Morris Endowed Teaching Chair of Excellence in Agriculture and the Natural Sciences. Professor Morata, welcome to The Honorees.
Thank you, thank you. Happy to be here. My pleasure, thank you.
Now, before we get started, I do have some questions for you, but I'd like to take our audience into your classroom, and we have a video.
Oh, great.
Let's watch.
Juan Morata has been teaching at Miami-Dade College for 6 years. He is recognized as an exceptional educator by his students.
What's important about teaching is trying to do things different all the time. You have to really keep the student motivated and challenged.
Professor Morata's teaching style is exciting, in your face, every time, all the time.
Only the fact that you come to your classes and you tell them what you did and how you did it, and what you got out of it, it's a big motivation to them if they're really interested in the field.
Professor Morata is amazing. I can't believe how he has influenced me to switch over from biomedical science to parasitology.
Morata's expertise includes microbiology, cell molecular biology, and tissue culture.
For me to get the endowed chair, in the area of science, even better. I mean, it's even nicer. Now we're going to do new learning communities with math. We're going to do another learning community with chemistry. We're using technology, which we're using the iPads.
A farmer scientist who has worked for major pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies, Juan Morata is able to instruct and advise students using practical methods that are relatable.
I tell my students, you don't have to like me, it's okay. I actually rather you not like me. I say that sarcastically, playing around. But when you learn this stuff and you go on to the real world, or you move on to another higher level of education, some of you will revert back to me and say thank you, and that's what happens a lot because of the hands-on experience.
Wow. So tell me, how does it feel to win the Endowed Teaching Chair Award?
It's an honor. It's a great honor because you feel very accomplished, and we have great professors at Miami-Dade. We have a great family, and to be chosen by your other professors that are from different campuses is a great honor.
So now, I understand you've been at the Wolfson campus in the Department of Natural Sciences, Health and Wellness since 2005. Is that correct?
Correct.
Wonderful. Now tell me a little bit about the kind of students that you have at the Wolfson campus.
Well, the Wolfson campus is unique. It has a great diverse population of students. We have from Hispanics to African Americans, Haitians. We have a great diverse population, and also the age group is different. We have students that get out straight out of high school, and we have students that come back for a second career, or they start a career later on. So we have a very good diverse population. It's actually great. It's a great environment. Very cool.
Oh, that's wonderful. So now, out of curiosity, with such a diverse population coming from so many different backgrounds, what are some of the techniques that you use to teach your students?
When I teach my students, I try to be as, how can I say this, professional as possible, but at the same time, you have to use a little bit of sense of humor. I like to get to my students with humor, a little bit of, good sarcasm, get close to them. One advantage that you have, if you know different languages, is great because you can, some of them do not have a proficient English. So, I mean, I'm lucky that I can speak also Spanish and French. So we have a lot of students that feel more comfortable speaking to me during office hours or during campus hours, and in their home language. So to me, that's been a great advantage. Teaching the students with technology nowadays is also shifting a lot towards that direction. We are doing a lot of that in our department. We are actually using now more technology than ever, even iPad technology.
Really?
And today's students love this stuff. They love, when it comes to tablets and their smartphones. When they're involved in groups and collaborative learning using technology like that, they're actually enjoying it a lot.
Well, we hear a lot about wanting to incorporate more technology into the classroom. Tell me a little bit more about how you incorporate the iPads into your classroom.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm from the X generation. You know what that means? That we came from a generation that we didn't have that much technology. Then all of a sudden, boom, everything was new technology. Okay, with the web and everything that happened. So we have a grant which is called STEM FYE, First Year Experience, who the director is Ms. Monica Minchala. And one day she approached me and said, "Hey, would you like to work with us? And we have these iPads." And I said, "Well, I have an idea. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we can start using iPad in the classroom." It has not been done. It was pretty new. And I just talked to my student and said, "What do you know about this? What can we do?" And they said, "Well, we can come up with apps, or we can use apps." And then we started using apps, from the iPad technology. And from there, we took it to presentations, from them presenting in front of an audience. And after the second generation started, the second semester started, then we said, let's move it up a little bit more. Let's start doing learning communities with biology and chemistry and see if we could put the iPads in use in a way that you can do collaborative programs and presentations, like a final presentation with both of the courses. And it worked out great. The actual passing rate went up very, very much in chemistry and in biology, and it was very successful. We're actually presenting these results in AACU, which is American Association of College Universities in San Diego, California, and they were very impressed. And now we're moving it up another notch, in which we're doing the iPad in the laboratory, in the biology labs, in which they use the iPad with forensic science, for example, or with different types of labs that we're using. And my next idea is to do a learning community of iPads with the lecture of biology, chemistry, and the labs included, all four. And it's going to be a challenge, but we're looking forward to it. It's great.
It sounds really exciting, and I'm sure your students are even more engaged with the material because they have that technology component.
The retention rate is excellent.
Oh, that's
it's
fantastic.
Excellent. They're actually enjoying it. They look forward to it because they do everything in the iPad. They actually everything is there for them. Everything the results, their data, they use it for studying. They have the book in the iPads. They have everything that they need. With today's technology, the students they like it and they need it, and they love it.
And it sounds like incorporating the technology and the iPads into their classroom experience, into their studies, it really kind of has a sense of bringing the real world to your students, and vice versa. You're putting the technology that they're so used to using outside of the classroom into their hands during class time. So out of curiosity, how else do you incorporate real world experiences into your classroom for your students?
Well, I do this with different methods. One of them, for example, is when we do the experiments that we're discussing, that I just discussed to you, they come from real world situations. In other words, like when we come up with a different project between chemistry and biology, we try to keep the actual project of a real world situation. And also in the research, we're doing research with the students. We have done research with the students in which we try to incorporate the industry experience in the laboratory so they know what to expect. They're trained according to good manufacturing practices. They have been trained according to good laboratory practices. So when they get a real world job, they already know what the FDA expects from them and the European Union expects from them.
Oh, wow. I'd love to hear some more about those connections. We have to take a break right now. You're watching The Honorees. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us.
Learn more about Miami-Dade College's clubs and organizations.
Hi everyone, welcome to Meet the Clubs. My name is Jessica Ruiz.
And Chavkubi is a cultural organization.
Student Government Association is an organization which promotes community service.
We're doing Camilla's House and beach cleanups. Being part of SGA at the Hialeah campus, when the students come to our campus, most of them have come from another country.
Hello everyone, you are watching Meet the Clubs, and today we have the Face Club here.
I didn't have any friends, so when I met the Face Club, I had new friends.
Welcome to Meet the Clubs.
Meet the Clubs on MDC-TV.
Welcome back to The Honorees. I'm your host, Jez Katambe, and our guest today is Professor Juan Morata. Now, on the previous segment, we discussed your 2011 Endowed Teaching Chair Award and your teaching style. And you mentioned a really interesting contribution that you wanted your students to be prepared for jobs with the European Union. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Well, we in Miami-Dade we created a biotechnology program, and one of the actual parts of the program has to do with bioscience manufacturing, and one of the courses have to do with quality control, quality assurance, and one is bioscience manufacturing and a bioscience manufacturing lab. And the way we actually train the students is they have to come up with the experiments, and then after they do the experiments, they have to do the experiment according to the FDA regulations, also European Union regulations, which are sort of similar, but they have different marks. In other words, that they have different expectations as far as what is expected, how you make the drug, what is, and when you manufacture a drug, you also have to have certain limits as far as if you have a bacteria in it or if there's a virus in it. All those different things according to good manufacturing practices and good laboratory practices, and that comes from the experience that I have gathered from the industry in the past. I have worked in the industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, before in my academic world, and that was very helpful to contribute this to our students today.
Now, your experience both working in the pharmaceuticals industry and your teaching experience in the classroom has earned you numerous accolades from students and from your peers alike for your dedication to enhancing their experiences. How would you describe your impact on the students?
Well, the best way to describe the impact on the student is when they come back or when you hear back from them. And the best feeling is when they come back to you and say, "Professor, look, I'm now graduated from a higher level, a higher institution like Cornell University." One of them came back to me the other day, for example, and now he's working. Wow. He's working for Sharon Plow, and then I also have another student who's now getting into the PhD program. He was part of our program. Then he went to FIU. Now he's doing a PhD program, and also. When the students did research with us, they're doing research with us, a great accomplishment or impact that you mentioned is when they go and present posters, and some of our students have gone and present their posters at Washington, D.C. to the National Science Foundation. And all of those things, you see that it's a great feeling, and it's both for them and, of course, for us, that we're getting things done correctly, and then they represent us out of Miami-Dade College, and they get into explore more because of the good basis or the good sciences that we give them here at Miami-Dade College.
It sounds like your students really go above and beyond in their own achievements, both while they're here at Miami-Dade College and after they graduate. And so, of course, I have to ask, since your students do so much, how do you go beyond for them?
When you become a professor at Miami-Dade College, it's you have to have an open door policy. Okay, it's very important. And I know we always say, or we hear students first, but that is your dedication. You have to have that dedication of students first. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, the Miami-Dade College professor doesn't have an 8 to 4 job. That's not true. It's not possible. And it's not only teaching, but you also have to have time for them. And my time is next to the lab, and whenever we're doing things in the lab, I'm always, if we're doing microbiology, my office is right next to the microbiology lab, and they need support, and the support they need is not only academic support. They also need the support to get that little push, say, don't worry, you could do it. And I tell my students, if I did it, anybody could do it. I only have 2 brain cells and they're fighting with each other, so anybody can do it. That's what I tell my students, joking around. But that's what it takes. It's always been involved with the students. When you're involved in grants, with mentoring the student is very important. Tell them that you were there first. You were there once upon a time. I'm a first generation student. The biggest thing that my mother always says that we came to this country because we wanted you and your siblings to have an education, and she accomplished that, and I'm very proud of my mother for that. All of us have a college education. We all have a master's degree and going to doctorate, and that to my mother was the biggest accomplishment. They didn't have the opportunity because of the circumstances when they grew up. And that's what I tell my students. And some of my students say, I have to work full time. I say, I understand. I had to work full time. I understand you could do it. You could do it. It's something that, and when they identify themselves with you, they can actually see that role that they can actually also do it. And that's important.
And it means a lot to them to see that they actually can identify with you, with the fact that you were a first generation college student. And it kind of gives them, as students, a sense of hope for their own future, for their own accomplishments, that if you can have a career in the sciences and come back to being a professor as well, they could follow in those same footsteps.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the other thing, that that I tell them, once you have a degree, you can actually do different things with it. You can start doing something, and then you can always do different things with it. You don't have to stay with one focus, and that's the same thing in academia. We don't have to do one focus. We could do different things within the academia, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. As far as our jobs.
And that's part of what makes having that career so exciting, especially with the sciences. Now, out of curiosity, I know you've worked for some major pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies. And how would you say managing a career in science and technology is important to the world today?
Well, it has always been important. I mean, as far as working in when I worked in the biopharmaceutical industry, I was right out of college, and I stayed there for about 6-8 years, and I was young. And the great thing about when I worked, I learned a lot. You learn a lot more when you graduate from your own experiences, and I'm not only talking about the actual theories that you learn a lot from the experience of what you do hands-on. And working in the industry has helped me learn a lot, not only because I accomplished things in the industry, but it helped me to also bring that to Miami-Dade College. And that is something that when we started the biotechnology program, and I remember when I first started, they said, do you think you can help us develop courses here? And I said, well, that's what I did. That was my experience. So it was just bring it to the table and write it in the competencies in the course, and then put it to work with the students. And it was a great accomplishment, a great feeling. You see the connection, like things connect. Whatever you learned in other jobs, it doesn't matter what job it is, you can always use it. You can always use it in the future. And working in the industry was very important for me, because not only I saw what it was hands-on. That's what I do with my students, try to put things hands-on. It's not only about theories. And hands-on means doing the experiments, doing the presentations, going to the field, doing service learning. That's another thing that's important. I always tell my son, do the service learning. Do you want to be a doctor? Great. Then go and work in a hospital. Do you want to be a scientist? Good. Do you want to be a scientist, then go ahead and work in the micro lab. See if you're really going to like it, and that's important. Service learning, it's something that I also incorporate in my teaching style. That's important for the students, and I think it's important for me also to give back to the community at the same time.
And that sort of collaborative learning is something that's so important to today's students in particular, because education is more than just what you get in the classroom. And I want to follow up on that with you.
Sure.
We have to take a quick break right now. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take another short break. When we come back, Professor Morata will tell us a little bit more about his collaboration with colleagues at Miami-Dade College.
Hi everybody, welcome to the stage.
The first talent show that I did, I sang a song by a group 702.
Gospel music has a rich history amongst African Americans.
I found out I had scoliosis, and it was like an 80-degree angle.
You are a cancer survivor, stage 4.
Yes.
6-car accident.
Everything that I say or sing is what happened to me.
The Stage on MDC-TV.
Welcome back to The Honorees. I'm your host, Jez Katambe. Now, Professor Morata, I know you teach biology, microbiology, and biotechnology courses, and you strongly encourage student involvement in the sciences and the health sciences as well, correct?
Correct, correct.
Oh, wonderful. Now, you also encourage your students to get involved in the community, as we were talking about before, with health nonprofit organizations. And I know you also collaborate with your colleagues, as we were mentioning. So tell me a little bit how you think about student learning in that collaborative environment and how it helps to improve our society.
We're using that word collaborative a lot lately in the education, and the reason it's being used so much is because it works. It is working fine. And in my courses, it's working. And when I do collaborative learning with my students, all my students are in teams, and at the end of the semester, they all have to do an important project. And sometimes the projects involve the lecture with the lab, or it involves working with the community and then bringing what they did in the community and display the experience in an audience. And collaborative learning also involves, with the colleagues. And here we work a lot with the mathematics and the science department. Work together a lot. We've done learning community together. We've done also learning community, like I mentioned to you, with chemistry. And we've worked collaborative also as far as mentorships. We do a lot of mentoring. And one thing, for example, that we have going is this with the STEM FYE program that I mentioned to you. We have come together and do PLTLs, which is basically a system in which the students are trained to tutor other students, but it's not just about tutoring, it's really to come up with a problem in which they have to, in collaboration, come up with the answers.
Now, PLTL, that is the peer-led team learning program, right?
Correct.
So it's really a collaborative process?
Well, we were trained about this, I'm going to say, don't quote me, I think it was 6 years ago. A group of Miami-Dade College professors went to New Jersey, and we were trained through City University of New York, CUNY, and it was something that we were not aware of, and we brought it to Miami-Dade back in those 6 years ago, and we started it, at least in the Wilson campus, and then, the North Campus also started doing this, and this is also going on in other institutions. And this collaboration is basically in order to increase the students' involvement in the science. And at the same time, we took a step beyond that, and we also started something new, which we call Wolfpack mentoring, in which we, as mentors, teach students how to be mentors, and then they become mentors of other students at their first years. And all of these in conjunction together, it's working quite well, and we're increasing retention, and we also increasing the the GPA of the students.
Now, are these programs part of the STEM FYE grant that you work with?
In Wolfson campus, that is correct. Yes, that is part of it. And also the iPad learning community is also part of the STEM FYE grant.
Wow, it's a really involved grant program.
Yeah, and the students get an iPad for the whole semester. They take it home and they actually use it, and then it's theirs for the whole semester. And at the end of the day, some students even go on and buy another iPad because it was so useful to them. Although many students nowadays, we don't have iPads regardless, but yeah, when we started at least.
So now I know you're the co-PI on more than one NSF grant from the National Science Foundation. Is that correct?
I'm the co-PI of Sigma. Sigma is a grant that is actually almost done this year, but we hopefully going to get an extension another year more. And this grant is a scholarship grant. It's a scholarship grant. It's based on merit, but also on financial need. And it is designed to also increase the underrepresented students, which is of course minorities and females. And we are based on the GPA, if they have a good GPA of 3.0 or better. And we give them money so they can actually pay for the books, for the classes. Again, they have to have a financial need.
Of course.
And they also have a mentor. They have a mentor assigned. But the interesting thing about the mentor that is assigned to them it's a mentor that is within the same discipline. In other words, if the student is a physics student, he will get a professor who's a physics mentor. And this grant is college-wide. It's not only in Wilson, it's actually college-wide.
Oh, wow.
We pick students that apply from all different campuses, all 8 campuses.
And this is open to students that are in any of the STEM fields?
Correct. They have to be in the science, technology, engineering, or math field.
Of course.
That is correct.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I mean, it's such an amazing opportunity that you're able to offer this to our students.
That is correct. And before that, we had Windows of Opportunity, which was a similar grant. And all of these ideas came from, my dear beloved Dr. Damas, who she was she's not retired, she's the chairperson of, she was the chairperson of Miami-Dade College Wilson campus for the Natural Science, Health, and Wellness.
Oh.
Yeah. That was her endeavor, and we're continuing. It's something that we are enjoying a lot to help the students, help the community, and of course to increase, which is the National Science Foundation big endeavor to actually increase the student population in science, because we are lower than we were before, and we are accomplishing this.
That's fantastic. It really is. And I know that it's a big drive nationally to increase that population in the sciences, technology, engineering, and math, so in the STEM fields. Now, I know you're very passionate about college and education in general, and you yourself are a first-generation college student. And actually, we did some research, and you have a quote that I really love that I want to share with our viewers. It says, "A few reasons why I love my job is because my parents' lifelong goal was to have all their children become college graduates." And obviously, education is so important to you and your family. So tell me how important it really is to you and what it means to you to be a professor.
Well, funny you mentioned that. My mother was very pushy as far as us going to college. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it because of circumstances of the post-war in Spain. And she always says, I came to this country, so you guys have a college education and you're going to have it. I don't care what you do after, but you have to have that college education first. And when we first, I didn't want to go to college. I want to admit, I didn't want to go, and that's the best thing I ever did, go to college. And now that I look back, I said, oh my God, thank God I did listen to her. I mean, my mother is very persistent, and she was. And yes, we all three, my sister, my brother, and I did complete a higher education degree. And now that I'm a professor, I see students like that sometimes just get out of high school and they're young and they're very, they're not sure what they want to do. And I tell them, look, how old are you now? I mean, you have another 45 years to retirement. They always complain, oh, I don't know if I don't want to take 3 years or 4 years, 5 years. I said, well, you have a long time. If you don't want to go full time, then start little by little. And then as you get the feel for it, then you move on. For me, what happened was when I started going to college, I came to college as a undeclared. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I started working, towards that goal. And I took a microbiology course with my former mentor, Dr. Lustigman. And she was my inspiration. And this is for me. This is my world, microbiology. And then I did my micro and molecular biology. And that's why I tell my students, once you find your niche, you're going to know this is what it is for you, but don't leave. I mean, if you cannot do one thing, it doesn't mean you quit. You could do something else.
Of course. And for that, our students get to go on and finish their education with a mentor like you. And it's been wonderful talking with you today, Professor Morata.
No, my pleasure. I'm
very
grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Professor Morata, thank you once again for being here with us. And thank you for watching The Honorees. I'm Jez Katambe. See you next time.